already snapped my fingers. So, over a year ago, or probably even longer than that, I did a stream about Butch Hartman, who most people know as being the creator of Fairly Odd Parents, and his little Oaxis debacle. But there's been a more recent controversy surrounding him. But again, I want to give proper context before we really get into it. So let me just go a little bit further into detail. In February of 2018, which was roughly a year and a half after Butch made his YouTube account, or started posting videos on here, he announced he was leaving Nickelodeon. Made it seem like it was no big deal, whatever. A couple of months later, that's when he announced that he was making this Oaxis Entertainment streaming service, and he got into controversy because he wouldn't articulate what exactly was going to be on this thing. That by itself was one of the issues. The other reasons were that he made these really kind of narcissistic and, in a lot of cases, weird comments, such as when he said that you don't have the right to criticize someone if you haven't done as much as they've done. And also at one point saying that, what was that other nonsense that he said? Oh, that weak rhymes with critique, so people that critique are weak. So that scandal emerged. For about a year. Things were kind of calming down, or there wasn't really anything new, but the Oaxis thing was still getting brought up and talked about. Recently, a person named Kuro has made an upload where he's discussed the incident that occurred with him and Hartman. The gist of it is that he was under contract with Hartman to do some animation for him, and the contract stipulated he would get paid regardless of if he finished it or not, or did the entirety of what was supposed to be his work. And because he did some of it, and he has not been compensated for this thing that he was under contract to make, it's caused controversy due to Hartman appearing to not, what's a good word for it, pay him. To just not, that's why on a lot of Hartman's recent posts, people have been putting hashtag pay Kuro. So I'm gonna play parts of Kuro's video. I'm gonna link it in the live streams chat so you can go and leave a like on it and spread it around. Let's begin.
Hello everyone, Kuro the artist here. Anyone who knows me understands that making this video goes against pretty much everything I stand for. And if you don't, let me break down a little bit of who I am so you can better understand where this story is going to come from. For one, I don't like being a YouTuber. This channel started with just me because I like creating content, but I just don't enjoy being a public figure. But as I started by myself, my name and face is all I had to market my projects. But to some people, being the face of your own work implies that you want the spotlight. And then suddenly, everything you do becomes a big deal. As someone who is more interested in telling the stories rather than being the star of them, that didn't really sit right with me. And I've made quite a few attempts to finally get off of YouTube, especially when the Ink Tank was founded and my coworkers were much more comfortable being the hosts of the videos than I was. But due to the topics we will address in this video, I can't not say something using this platform. 2, I do not enjoy drama. That doesn't really need much explanation, I just don't. And making videos about controversial topics may lead to some people misinterpreting that. You make a video about Goku, everyone thinks you're a power scaler. You make a video about Death Battle, everyone expects you to reveal all the battles. I just like sharing my own opinion. But just because I know people are out there that won't agree with me doesn't mean I'm the one trying to start the argument, which is another good reason to get off of YouTube. 3, I hate putting money first. Yes, my biggest issue with Butch that he's personally done to me was rip me off of $1,400. But if that was the driving force behind my argument, I would have made this video years ago. That's right, I've been sitting on this for quite a while. So what got me to finally break my silence? Well, yesterday I saw a Twitter post by my good friend Pie Guy Rules. He brings attention to a website created by Butch Hartman and his wife, Julianne Hartman, under...
Pie Guy Rules is another person who's talked, I think, much more extensively about the problems that have occurred with Butch over the last 2 years. He's made at least 4 or 5 different videos on it from 2018 up until now. So Just for people who don't know who that is, that's another person that if you want to know more about this situation, I would recommend checking out.
Their Hartman house name because he didn't have enough derivatives already, apparently. There, they claim that with the power of religion, they have cured people of legitimate struggles such as autism, bipolar disorder, kidney failure, and more. Beyond the fact that they are openly admitting that people with mental illnesses need to be cured, this whole statement is just ridiculous, regardless of your beliefs. Even if you believe that God is strong enough to heal whatever struggles you may physically, mentally, or economically need aid in, you cannot deny that approaching it like this, contextualized with everything else that Mr. Elmer, I've created your entire childhood Hartman has said and done in the past, it just seems wrong. But is it really above Butch Hartman to do something like this?
So I did see that stream of Hartman and his wife talking about healing people with their religion, and it was terrible. Just to be clear here, I identify as a Catholic. What they were basically saying during that stream was that if you have not been healed yet, you're not religious enough to have received the sanctity of Christ, that the people who are successfully healed and recover are the ones who have done some divine thing to get the actual aid of God. It was a really strange kind of thing to see from someone who's known for doing stuff with cartoons.
The man who absolutely cannot resist stroking his ego every chance he gets and remind you constantly that yes, he did indeed create 4 Nickelodeon shows that he wrote the theme songs for. The man who said being introverted is a selfish thing to do because it makes...
Oh, I hated that. That was awful. He made those comments 2 years ago during he has a second channel called Speech Bubble or something like that, where he basically said that if you're introverted, it's selfish because people don't know what you're doing and it makes others feel uncomfortable, even though a lot of people who are introverted are that way because people have been nasty to them and there's a lot of factors that go into it. But that's another one of his comments that he made that has pissed people off. Jesus Christ. Like, we're not even at the scam yet, and he already just sounds awful. Like, between him and his wife saying they can heal, which I guess is a scam in and of itself. We can heal you with our religion. That if you just pray hard enough, you'll see your illnesses be vaporized, or just all that stuff is strange.
Him uncomfortable. The man who not only joked about his ex-employee's suicide, but did it right to the face of that employee's replacement on his podcast, which wasn't live, but he decided to upload online anyways.
See, that's him being stupid again. What ended up happening was that, and I just want to further explain this, I'm glad someone's finally showed up, Slum Digger has appeared. The original voice actor for Timmy in Fairly Odd Parents was this lady named Mary Kay Bergman. He doesn't say her name in this, but I'm going to say it here. And she killed herself. She got replaced by Tara Strong, everybody knows as the actual voice. But during this podcast appearance of Strong on Hartman's second channel, he made a joke about how Bergman had killed herself supposedly because of her. It was a really nasty, weird comment on his part. And since this wasn't live, he had the option to either edit that out or just not upload the thing at all. But he chose to anyway because he apparently thought that was something people would believe made sense.
The man who thought his followers worship his blessed artistic mind enough to try to create an entire streaming service with all original content, and even 2 years after it exceeded its Kickstarter goal, to this day, cannot provide a single stroke of evidence that it's even going to happen. All right, I may be getting a little off topic, so let's regroup and cover exactly why I'm making this video.
Okay, just to be kind of like to give a really brief explanation of Oaxis, to Slum Diggers, like, what is Hartman doing? 2 years ago, he had this streaming service that he was trying to get people to fundraise for, and it reached its goal, which a lot of people think he himself donated to it to do that, but whatever. And to this day, we have no idea of what specifically is going on there. We just were told it was family friendly. No, Slum Digger. It was a streaming service made by one creator. So Hartman was like, yeah, this is my streaming service. We're going to have family friendly content. But he wouldn't explain what exactly was going on there. Was it going to be stuff that already existed? Was it going to be brand new stuff? It was this really vague, weird thing that he was trying to get people to commit to, while admitting that most of his audience are people that probably don't even have the funds to support him. You know, we're not talking about grown people. We're specifically referring to the audience of people who knew him from Nickelodeon, and you know, a lot of those people are kids. They're young adults. They just it was a vague idea aimed at soliciting fans who probably couldn't afford it anyway. Is the issue here?
Yeah. Those that follow my work are aware that before I moved on working for clients with legitimate projects and goals in mind, I did some animation work for a handful of Butch Hartman's YouTube channel. Now, I'm not blind. It really wasn't that good. But they're at least good enough for Butch to constantly repost all over his TikTok to this day, as he's most definitely out of ideas for content.
The Sponge Show is our Mickey Mouse. Oh, hi, Pluto. Hi, Patrick. I'm SpongeBob. And you're the Donald Duck of Nickelodeon.
But aside from Elf Detective, which is a story I've covered in a previous video, the biggest project was supposed to be Imagine Nathan. I was contractually obligated to complete a 5-minute, fully colored animation with backgrounds for a payment of $1,400. And if you think that's ridiculously cheap for the amount of work I would logistically have to do, you are indeed correct. Originally, he offered me $1,250, and I was only able to stretch it up to $1,400 upon negotiation. But why did I agree to it anyways? Well, I felt the working relationship would be worth it. And at the time, I did have a separate job, so I wasn't too worried about the money. Also, let's go over a section of the contract that I feel will play a significant role later in this video. Compensation. As the full and completed consideration of all the services and material to be rendered and delivered hereunder, producer will pay artist $1,400 for animation for the project known as Imagine Nathan. Term. The term shall commence on September 21st, 2017. Producer has the right to cancel services at any given time without explanation. If producer cancels work mid-project, producer is obligated to pay for the full segment. Keep that in mind.
Okay, so I pause right here. In that contract, it stated that whether the project was canceled or it continued, the amount of work that he did, even if it was incomplete, still needed compensation. Yeah. But remember, Slumdigger, in that contract, it said, we don't care if it's incomplete. We don't care if the project even got folded. If you did some of this work, we have to pay you the entire thing that we said we would.
And for the future. So for those that don't know about Oaxis, Butch announced that the production of his own streaming service would begin in the summer of 2018 via Kickstarter. As many one-on-one email chains between him and I directly, developing all of the concept art, timing storyboards, and even assisting with the lore development, I was contacted by Taylor Bradbury, a representative of his Nuke network and a production manager at Nickelodeon Animation, to begin work on Imagine Nathan. Now, even though the contract says that work officially began on September 21st, 2017, which Butch and I have both signed, this email is still, again, another starting point to prove that this project was indeed in motion. Because there are many videos already detailing the events of Oaxis, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but simplified, there was a huge backlash over the internet due to the way he handled it. Coinciding by the undeniably awful things he said online, Butch disappeared from the internet completely for a few months. As a result, 2 days later, I was contacted by Raspberry to cease development for the time being, and I should be hearing from him soon. As I was only working on it for 2 days, and I did have another job to worry about, all of the completed final animation I got done was this. However, after telling me to wait for a response,
So he admits that he didn't really do that much. But again, the contract said, whatever you have, we have to pay for it, the full amount. Okay, Slumdigger says, I don't get what the point of the service is. What makes it different from the other services with family-friendly sections? Where's the competitive advantage? Only thing I can think of is the fact that it would have Hartman exclusive content. Well, no, Slumdigger, they actually, on the, what was it, the Kickstarter for Oaxis, they had pictures of Homecoming, so that last Spider-Man movie, and all of this other crap that Hartman had nothing to do with, which only led to more people being confused about what exactly was going to go into this streaming service. Because why would you pick this up when you can just get Disney Plus? So they're really, the only competitive advantage this thing had was its vagueness. Like no other streaming service I've heard of has been this vague or taken 2 years to get off the ground even after it reached its fundraising goal. But just like how you're like, I don't get what the point of this, I don't get it either. It just seems like it was a big scam. Like you're gonna have all these people donate to this and then nothing comes out of it year after year.
Response from them soon, they proceeded to never contact me again. On December 13th, 2019, a year and a half later, I decided it was best to just accept that this was obviously never going to happen, and to reach out and ask for my compensation so I can mentally put this to rest. Unsurprisingly, Butch remained silent and sent Blueberry forward to speak for him, as he had this to say. Bullet point 1. The character designs and illustrations you sent to us were only ever unsolicited, per my records. Your deal on Imaginathan was for animation, and this was communicated to you in writing on multiple occasions, as well as in plain language in your deal. That is incorrect, and I have many emails from Butch detailing how he wants me to go about the production for the animation. You can't just make animation. It's not just like you push a button and make Pinocchio. Right, Butch? Bullet point 2. No such animatic test was ever delivered to us. If the work exists, please send to us for review. Although, I would have to point out the delivery of this animatic would be 2 years late, which puts you at an abhorrently breach in your deal. It is also important to note that an animatic is not animation. But this is... And to further prove that this is indeed the animation and not the animatic, here is the animatic version that he also had me time and add sound effects for.
Man, they are so slimy. You breached your contract even though you're the one that actually did what you said you would do, and we're refusing to pay you. How the world turns. Slumdigger says, I'm making a streaming service. There will be shows and movies. Family, give me monies. That's basically what it was. It was a vague way to trick people into donating to something that he apparently never intended to do anything for. Slumdigger says, anything to not have to pay. Yeah, but why would you go out of your way to get this guy to make an animation for you? And then when you decide to cancel it, oh, well, you thought you were going to get paid. Psych. There was never a chance they would pay. Well, Slumdigger, you got to understand that for the reason he agreed to do this, as he mentioned earlier in the video, was that he had a good working relationship with Hartman. And a lot of these new scandals, like the Oaxis thing, hadn't even taken place yet. So prior to 2 years ago, people had no reason to believe that Hartman was a con artist.
Also, it was you, Cranberry, that had personally asked me to begin production, was it not? Bullet point 3. If indeed animation services were rendered, we're happy to honor the agreement. We would just need for you to turn in your work. Again, 2 years late. Also incorrect. I find it very interesting that everything I've ever sent to Butch was successfully delivered, yet somehow this one specific thing was somehow not found. Upon checking our old shared Google Drive, it appears to be completely empty, almost as if it was deleted. And even so, he's clearly saying that even if they did not get it back then, if I had sent it now, it would count, right? Well, apparently not. Also, he is trying to claim that it is 2 years late, even though there was never, ever a specified deadline. Now, I know what you may be thinking. Because there was no deadline, the project technically wasn't canceled, therefore I cannot use the clause that states if the project is ceased, no matter how much I produced, I am still owed full payment. Well, my conversation with Elderberry escalated to the point where he tried to strawman me into implying extortion, and then said he's parting ways with me and will never speak to me again. Now, again, I'm not blind. I can see how they could try to finagle our emails and contracts to get out of paying for all of the extra work I did for Imaginathan. But he cannot deny that this solicited animation, which does exist, as I've presented in this video and have sent to him multiple times, contractually obligates them to pay me in full. And in that same email, he yet again says all I would have to do is turn in the animation and I will be paid in full. So I did, and then I've been ignored for the past 5 months.
Jesus Christ. They go out of their way to just trick you or make it seem as if you did something wrong. So the first thing they do is pretending that what you've sent them apparently. Slum Digger, did you notice every single other thing he sent them went through except the one thing that proves the project was not 2 years late? But anyways, I'm not gonna play the rest of it because that basically is the rundown of the story. He got contracted by Hartman to do some animation. He did some of it, and now they won't pay him anything. No, Slum Digger, it's just like what they did to me on Wikipedia, where they say one thing and then they're proven to be a hypocrite by something else. But that's why I don't like talking to people in writing because they have a higher chance of just conveying absurdities. Hey, that's my favorite part when you have people, because if you actually look at the rest of his channel, he's pretty much into just making his comic. Like when you have people who actually want to do something and you piss them off enough to where they want to make a video about it, you should know who's the true scumbag. Like you go on his channel, there's nothing about no drama, anything. And then after sitting there for 2 years and not getting paid for his hard work, he's like, all right, to hell with this. I'm coming out with my story. And you know that if they hadn't have screwed him over, he wouldn't be doing this. Extreme gaslighting. Now, Slum Digger on both Twitter and on YouTube, every time Hartman posts something, you see hashtag pay Kuro or pay Kuro. Hartman is sounding like a greedy idiot. Yeah, he's been doing a lot of weird stuff on here for the last 2 years, like between Oaxis and this, and then the little weird stuff he was saying that you can't criticize him if you've never done anything. I want to call him something else, but it is not YouTube friendly. Oh, he was saying that his streaming service would be family friendly. But and it's like, I guess scamming is family friendly, huh? Man, I just am so disturbed by the idea you can do all that work, because animating is not an easy thing at all. When you draw an animatic or something that's black and white, and then you try to color it and make all the little pieces move and line up. Like even that little itty bitty amount of stuff he did, I can see entirely where that took 2 days. That's why animation studios have a whole bunch of people working on something. And they've talked about how a lot of times it takes 10 months or even longer for an episode of a show to get made. It's just really disturbing that you do work for someone and then they tell you to basically go to hell, and then they're too scared to even respond to you. Some Digger says, I hear you, man. I'm not an artist myself, but I know a couple. I've seen that it is time consuming and complex. I know your show takes a good deal of time as well. But remember, the thing with my show is I don't get paid doing it. But the idea that somebody would pay me to do it, and then they basically say, hey, I know you did all this hard work, but to hell with you. And Butch is like, Hartman is such a coward. He won't even say anything back to him. Like this video, I skipped it, but it starts with a montage of different times Hartman was praising Kuro. He was like, oh yeah, I like his stuff, and he's such a, and he just turned on him. Like his little stupid streaming service failed, so he took out, I guess, his disappointment on a man who had a high opinion of him, who had no reason to think he would do that. I would be livid if someone did that to me. And he's supposed to be mentoring him, right? Being an older industry veteran. That's really sad. Well, Kuro was a fan of his that you heard him say in the video. He chose to work for a amount that was not that big because he really liked Hartman. He was a fan of him. So he used his clout as a veteran industry, because Hartman loves bragging. I've been in Hollywood for 30 years. So he used his position as someone that's known and famous to some extent to get this guy to do some work for him and then not pay him. And then I guess like hope that the story doesn't get out there. Now, when people are really big, like they're celebrities, they start to think they're indestructible. Like, and then what's crazy is there's actually a clip of Hartman. I'm gonna see if I can find it, where he was bragging about how we can't take him down, which nobody was even trying to take him down. They were trying to get him to be accountable for a screwed up thing that he did. But you know, like if I play this clip, it's gonna show you his just lackadaisical attitude toward accepting any and all criticisms. Remember what he said, weak rhymes with critique. So Slum Digger, if you criticize him, you're being weak. You got to man up. You can't call scammers that you can't speak facts on scammers without being weak. You're weak for wanting someone to get paid for the work they did, not the person who scammed them out of money that they were entitled to via a contract. Let me see if I can find that video. I remember Pie Guy Rules had it in his description box.
Hey guys, Pie Guy.
I apologize for how loud. You know how YouTube is, where you click something, then it just blurts off. Slum Digger says, haha, classic. Stop being a snowflake, man. I scammed you out of some money. Big deal. Grow up. Well, he didn't say that directly to him, but he was doing some stream and he said that during it. Let me see if I can find it. This is the Twitch clip of him saying that we can't take him down because he's so powerful.
So I look at people that critique as weak. Weak rhymes with critique. So, you know, if you're going to critique like, hey, this is never going to work or whatever, then I just say, you know what, let's see you try it, and then we'll see how you do. So go ahead and critique away, because all it does is make me stronger. If you guys think you're going to knock me down or make me fail, do you know who you're dealing with? Do you really know? Do you have any idea who you're dealing with? What I've been up against already as a father and a husband and someone who's worked in Hollywood for 30 years, and you are going to take me down? What are you kidding? That's kind of a joke, I think. So good luck. Good. Best of luck, everybody.
I agree. I think people can just be unnecessarily mean.
Well, yeah, here's the thing about the internet. What's great about the internet, well, first of all, it's very powerful.
You're hiding behind a keyboard.
Yeah, you're a coward. Yeah, you're a coward. So I look at people.
I'm not hiding behind a keyboard. You can see all of me, so I'm not part of that claim. Slum Digger says, yeah, that's just pure narcissism. It's the same thing about the only God can judge me thing. Demonize all forms of criticism, and it means you are automatically perfect. Well, to be fair, there are some critiques that are unfair, like if you say a movie sucks and you've never seen it. But a lot of these people who are criticizing him are pointing to specific things that he has either said or done. And none of them have the aim of trying to take him down. That's why, see, this is how this works. Somebody makes a valid point about your online behavior, and your response is to try to make it seem like it's some kind of big grand ball conspiracy to destroy you and get you blackballed. And no one was doing that. A lot of the people who've been critiquing him, Kuro included, were fans of him. But you remember what I said about the Dragon Ball fan, Slum Digger, that they have this thing where they don't believe you can't be a fan of something and critique it or admit it's not perfect. It's the same thing with Butch, where if you criticize him, you're part of the group that's trying to take him down. And I love how he's like, you know what I've been through as a father and a husband? It's like, oh, you stuck your little banana in somebody and they popped out a kid or two, and then you slapped a ring on some broad's finger. What an accomplishment. Oh no. It's him again. Are there going to be any more intercourse inquiries? Slum Digger says yes. Yeah, random reference to his marriage. Well, it's just a thing of there are a lot of people for some reason that see having children as an accomplishment, even though it really is not. There are a lot of people who are poor and have children they can't afford, and then they screw up the lives of them and their kids. So it's just a thing where like it's weird stuff that is very easy to do if two people agree to do it that should not be considered that big of a deal. Uh, you know, just ends up being the case. We're gonna take him down. We just want him to pay for his pay his funds. When you get somebody to work for you, and you think you can hide behind the fact that you're a celebrity, as far as just not paying that person, I think that's really scummy. You know what would be really impressive if a man had children without the woman? Or they spout an egg like King Piccolo, huh? And they pick him out. Oh my god. Now let me see if I can find someone that did a I don't want to play that whole stream of him and his wife because it's too long, and there are certain points that were in there that I would like the audio of. So I'm gonna see if I can find someone that cut that up for me. Because those pieces I saw made me want to vomit. They made me sick to my stomach. If if you haven't been healed yet, that means you're not praying hard enough. And they actually said they had a cure for autism, like that's some form of cancer. Like you can live with that and actually function well with mental disabilities. They're a completely different thing from an actual disease. Jesus Christ! Like people just keep putting their foots in their mouths. They don't even care. Oh yeah, by the way, the reason that the thumbnail is what it is because on Twitter, Hartman he's been doing commissions so people can pay him to get a drawing done, which I'm surprised he's even willing to do because he likes to scam. Um, but it's funny because he did a picture of a commission of Zorro, and under it, people were saying pay Kuro, and I think everybody knows Zorro is from One Piece. So I got a picture of Kuro from One Piece because it's like a double entendre where I'm referencing a commission he did and the name of the actual artist that he scanned. Slumdigger says, ironically enough, them saying that makes them seem mentally. Yeah, I don't want to say that because they actually have a campaign about using the R word. I remember I had this one person, I had like a stream with that title, and they were like, how could you put this in the title to describe women? And I'm like, dude, we're not talking about people who are actually mentally ill. We're talking about people who act just really dumb. And it's like, if you really cared about mentally ill people, you would actually go do something for them. You wouldn't be whining about the title of a stream. I can make a stream right now called Why I Hate Cats. But if I'm not harming any of them, and there are people who actually are harming them and doing all kind of animal abuse, which one is worse? No, they love doing that. They were all that grandstanding. Let me see if somebody else has a clip of him. That clip really was funny. Weak rhymes with critique. Oh, I remember that show on Disney. You know, someone actually made I think it was like an anime intro for Drake and Josh. It was, it's like, what? Oh, that was funny. Just like it was, you take this really, really American show and slap some just very distinct and, in my opinion, good effects on it, but it just seemed like it was this big clash. Yeah, Hartman is God, if he had never made this channel, and it wasn't even just that he made the channel, but if Oaxis hadn't come around, if he had paid this guy, he could have avoided all of these new scandals he's found himself in. Like I've never seen a person who has quote unquote created your childhood, as he likes to brag about, destroy their own future. Talking about we're trying to take him down. He's taking himself down. Like who wants to support a scammer? Who wants to support a person who starts a project that people pay money into that doesn't go anywhere? I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna make a Kickstarter for I don't know, a movie, and then year after year the movie never comes out. He thinks he's a god. Frankly, his hubris is creepy. Nah, Slum Digger, you should see that stream of him and his wife. I think it might was it on Facebook? Let me go look. But that stream was terrible. They sounded like those really those really conceited religious people, like the ones that they don't call themselves prophets, but they think they have this really, really special relationship with God to where uh everybody else's relationship is inferior to theirs. That's what they sounded like on there. That was creepy. Him and his wife, who also is a scammer, by the way. And I usually don't ever talk about someone's spouse, but she was on there saying they can cure, or God can cure, autism, along with cancer and all these other actual diseases. So I'm not including autism. I'm saying that that was something that she lumped in there with diseases that kill people. They lose their minds. Let me go on Facebook. Margie says, "Stop ignoring me. I'm not a troll. I just like to ask people about their private parts." I mean, you can go watch the stream from yesterday, Slum Digger. He decided it was something that needed to be brought up. I was like, really? Wow. Some issue with I don't have it. If I had an issue with you, you'd be banned. I just don't get why there's like this fascination among other men of my private parts. It was yeah, and I was like, why does like if he asked me that, is a broad gonna magically spawn from from wherever he is? I was like, what the hell? That was yesterday. Oh my God, let it go. I mean, I wouldn't have brought it up if you didn't go, oh, you have some issue with me. So I'm a little confused by this idea that I'm the one who's apparently doing something wrong. Oh wow, Harbin put up something 25 minutes ago. Check out the Mad Hustle podcast. I like how there's that, like he's getting called a scammer, and he's got something called the Mad Hustle, like just that being the name. Oh my God. These people lack self-awareness to such a large extent, it's embarrassing. Hustle typically means scam in our day and that's why it's funny. You're getting accused of scamming this artist out of his money, and you have a podcast called Mad Hustle. You see those YouTube ads with the online business? Yes, unfortunately, I have. I've seen those ads, the dating ones, the like they're all over the place. I just let them play and keep on moving. I ignore it. 'Cause they're not fooling me. Let's see. It's really sad too because he's actually a good artist, but he's. Oh, by the way, his Twitter is really weird because he shifts from drawing cartoons or like talking about shows, and then like 2 minutes later he'll put on not 2 minutes later, but in the next couple of days he'll make some reference to the Bible. Like he'll have a post about a cartoon, and then he'll have a post about Psalms 10 or something like that. Like it's the same thing on his Facebook. I have one, but I don't use it. The only websites I use are YouTube and Discord. I haven't been on Instagram since I think August of last year, September, like the third quarter of last year. I'm done with all these websites. That's just my thing. I just have accounts on all these places, don't even use them. Like got a Twitter account, don't use it. What was the second one? Stone Digger says people pervert religion so much. Yeah, and they make like regular people of that religion look terrible. Like you have a lot of Christians who, for example, help the homeless. Do things for those that they feel have had a bad lot in life, that are selfless. And they're getting lumped into the same category with clowns like this man and his wife that are trying to get you to sign up. Oh, by the way, the reason I'm calling her a scammer is because, like, if she was just saying stupid stuff online, that's whatever. But they're trying to offer some kind of spiritual counseling session. So they're trying to get money out of people on the premise that if you become a good enough Christian, all of your illnesses will be healed. So that's why I called her that. Yeah, these people get on every website and they don't even. Of course, it always comes down to a consultation, life coaching, prayer groups. Hey, Slum Digger, if we're really lucky. We don't believe a lot of these claims people make. Otherwise, we'd sign up for every service. We'd be part of the. We'd have a relationship coach. Those two as our religion coaches. Jesus Christ, should be coached by the whole world. I'm going to offer you some consultation. Where is this damn stream? Ugh, videos. Let's see. Did he get rid of it? Oh, it looks like he might have taken it down. Or was it ever on the site to begin with? Let's go to Pie Guy Rules channel again to go see if he says where it is. Because he does like to cover his tracks. Because he got rid of the stream, like that little clip I played for you about him having the weird ego. That was from a stream he did during the Oaxis saga, and he got someone cut that part out, and then he got rid of the whole thing. It's so weird. It's like every year around June or July, uh, we have all these new updates on. I see them on the God channel preaching from massive, expensive buildings. I don't know who they are. Okay, he's got the video. Let me see if I can. Oh, it's another account. Yeah. All right, give me a second. That's why I couldn't find it. It wasn't the right account. Look at me. I've accomplished so much by being married. It's not like millions of people did that before me. Like when he was saying that he was a Hollywood insider. Yes, Slum Digger. I'm pulling it up right now. Give me a second. I gotta make sure the dates line up. Man, get their stupid picture out of my way. I want to look at those scammers. Okay, this was posted June 19th. And that stream started, how long was that? That was 50 minutes. Oh my God. Man, the way they make religion just get synchronized with it. Like, I wish people could just let religion be its own thing and let shows be their own thing. And I know that people sometimes put their beliefs into this stuff, but and I guess that's fine with me as long as you're not trying to actually trick somebody out of their coins by trying to fearmonger. If you don't pray, God's not going to heal you. We're all going to die anyway. So evidently, one of those prayers isn't going to take. A good ascending strategy. I mean, you can be whatever religion you want. I don't pretend any of them are more right than the others. God, see, this is the problem. It's so long, and I don't want to make this stream 2 hours or 3 hours. Anyways, if you want to see him and his wife tell you that you're going to hell if you don't, that you're going to die if you don't pray, there you go. You know, I personally have had enough scammers for 1 year. Oh, this is a really sick thing he did. Oh yeah, there was this one broad that I was in this Uber one time. Oh, Megumi's the 11th hour ranger. I was in this Uber one time and she drove past some church and she was like, oh, I go to that church. And I actually did consider going to that church on the following Sunday to see her. But I thought to myself, I'm really about to sit up here in this building that I don't care about. And when I say that, I mean just I wouldn't be going there if it weren't for that. It's like I'm going to go there just so I can talk to some broad that at most is going to say a couple of words to me and then probably will not speak to me again after that. So that was the decision making or the thought process of not doing that. And Megumi says, "All right, we are back." I don't know where we went. Oh, Megumi, did you see the fighters roster rant? Because that was the first of 2 videos in like less than a week where somebody was like, "You mispronounced something. You didn't call Xenoverse Xenoverse." Like, oh well. The guy who made Danny Phantom is out here ducking employees and claiming he is Jesus. Oh, I don't even want to. So Slum Digger, people like I expect people not to know this. The first 2 seasons of Danny Phantom were primarily written by I'm forgetting his name, but it's a guy that's not Hartman, right? So the 3rd season is considered by some fans to be the worst, because this person left after the 2nd one. And Hartman wrote the series finale, which is called Phantom Planet. And during that Oaxis stream, I didn't mention this, but there was a stream where people noticed that he wouldn't answer if LGBT stuff would be on Oaxis. Someone's name on there, like I guess troll name was Phantom Planet is not canon. And I just remembering what the last episode of that show's title was and knowing that it was one of the few episodes directly written by Hartman, that's why it was like this really clever snipe at him, basically. That's like me finding out who the right like. That's like Toyotaro doing a stream, and then I'm like, Dragon Ball Super manga is not canon. That's my username. To hell with your story. Megumi says, I haven't, but I do intend on watching it sometime soon. Oh, also, but Slum Digger, Hartman's gotten into plenty of controversies over Danny Phantom. One of the controversies was that he was saying that the theme song is Yo instead of Young. So it's like a weird thing with him where he's like that, that's something that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But he also said that because in the show they say that the ghosts are people who have died and are now in the ghost zone, they're trying to haunt people. You had several characters who we know what their lives were like before they were ghosts, and Hartman claims that the ghosts are all these otherworldly beings as opposed to actually being humans that have died. So he's messed up the content of his own show. Like he doesn't even remember. Well, Megumi, this is about the creator of that show and the creator of Fairly Odd Parents, messing with its continuity and scamming. Well, that's not what the stream's about, but I'm just saying that those are things he's done to get himself in trouble recently that are not as big of a deal, but there's still things where it's him specifically screwing with his own show for no reason. He's retconning. What's something else he said that was weird? Oh, he also drew like these character designs for 10 years later, and that inspired the actual character designer for the show to come out and do his own versions of what they would look like, because he was apparently dissatisfied with what Hartman came up with. I'm getting desperate. And then watch Marky. He's gonna ask if I've seen Desperate Housewives before. He's gonna be like, please make content on that show. He asked me about World of Warcraft. He asked me about some blood movie or something. I was like, dang. Makes sense. Thought I recognized that name. Yeah, I tried to not put his first name because he likes to harass people. I've heard that he's like, and I guess it's really aggravating because people like to accuse someone of using another person's name for attention, which is what he's doing. So I tried to not use that much of his name. It's still screwed up though. Hey, Megumi, guess what he tried to hide from? You weren't here for this earlier part of the stream, but he tried, when he was like basically stroking his own ego, he tried to use the fact that he has kids and a wife as some kind of accomplishment. Like because some broad let him stick his you know what inside of her and pop out some seeds. And she let him slap a ring on her finger. That those are legitimate things that he should feel so acclaimed and proud of. I just thought that was funny because if you ask me what are my accomplishments, I would say, like the show, documentaries, stuff I actually did that is by itself unique. Not if some broad, did this. I just realized something. Christians are notorious for saying things like ghosts and aliens are fake and deviant, devilish ideas, yet he made a show about it. Well, Slum Digger, he tried to flip it. What does a teenage boy with ghost powers fit into God's plan? He tried to flip it. He did an interview where he said, I really have tried to make Christian values a big part of my show with family and friends and so he's basically saying, yeah, the premise is kind of a devilish like thing, but because of the values that are in it, because you do have family, like the value of family in both of those shows, admittedly, but he tried to. I'm saying he did a roundabout way of like making it seem as if it wasn't contradicting that. And it sucks because you're going to have people who say, you're trying to shame him for being Christian. No, we're not. But you can't say you're this big Christian who wants to say, like he said, people who draw porn of his characters are not real fans. Like, you know, you can't take those kind of positions where you're like talking about faith and all and values and whatever, and then you're making a show like that. What's there to be proud of having done that? What's there to be proud of having done that to you? Could I have gotten screwed due to his position anyways? He no one special for having that done. Megumi, he's one of the few people I've seen where like their wife turned out to be just as awful because she's got some service with him where they're trying to scam people out of money by telling them that there's a special way they can pray where they'll be cured from any illness. And if you don't believe me, when the stream refreshes, or you might, yeah, because you probably won't be able to see it, but I posted the link for that Facebook account where they had an hour-long stream trying to make themselves seem like they were under attack, and people were spreading false information about them. And if you just do this, you'll be able to. I mean, it was that all they needed were some red noses and small cars, and we could just call that the clown show. That's exactly what that was. I'm surprised I didn't hear a honk noise in the background. I mean, that stream didn't have any sound effects. It didn't have any noises in it, but I did hear one noise when I was watching it. That was the sound I heard when I was watching that. And then when people who actually believe they're gibberish, when they give them money for this consultation service, they hear the following sound when the service is scheduled. Personal creativity is the only thing you should be proud of. Yeah, that's why when he said, hey, I've been in Hollywood for 30 years, I made these shows, that at least is something where it's the person actually doing something specific that I could consider an accomplishment. But if you're bragging about you having children and like you're bragging about reproducing, you realize how many people have done that? That's like me bragging about having a couch. But like, well, I'm a person who's on the couch for several years. Like everybody has one of those. I have a cell phone. Man, Dio, just rewatch the stream when it's done. I'm not about to sit here and explain that. I already regurgitated enough. No, it's got to be something that you have that everybody else has. Because you don't need to. There's no like actual account. Like, what's a good word for it? If he bragged about, let's say, graduating from college, that would still be something he did specifically, even though a lot of people have graduated from school. What's a good way to put it? Imagine someone bragging about, I don't know, having a car. Yeah, like everybody, like a bunch of people at one of those. Megumi says not a big deal. Well, he made it a big deal. A DBZ style intro for people who come late to streams previously on Dissinger Z. Nah. Because like if I did a video, I could probably do that, but streams are almost impossible. I'd have to get Google Hangouts and then have the video pre-made and then like cut to that video where it's like a bunch of clips, because I don't know what they're gonna like, what stream is gonna have someone show up all the way at the end for. Speaking of DBZ, I got one video relating to it this week planned, possibly two, but the video should be out by maybe Thursday, if not Wednesday. It depends because I just got to make sure this script is good. But I asked Megumi if he saw the fighters video. He apparently hasn't seen it. I was so disappointed. I started to scam people online after telling them I created their childhood. What a narcissistic thing to say. I made a couple of shows, which a lot of people have done, and I created your childhood, not your parents, not like what, not the network that showed all the things you like. This is weird. Hartman would do it. He should just ask some other animator to do it, then not pay them. They act like making kids is like equal to making a renewable energy source. Yeah, that's their accomplishment. Their legacy is, hey, I cranked out somebody with my DNA. That's never been done before. Even if I was in a relationship, I wouldn't brag about being married. Like, well, you know, it's actually kind of funny. They've been talking about the divorce rates, but it still is something that a bunch of people have done. That one is taking longer because it's going to be probably around 30 or 40 minutes, but I've got short stuff that will come out before then. Like I got a Kid Boo video um that'll come out before that, and then this other one. Ego children with their trophy wives. You mean with their scamming wives? In a messed up way, kids are kind of like that when you think about capitalism. Yeah, I know that you can use them to get taxes reduced from you, but it still is a screwed up thing. Ooh, I put my you know what inside somebody and she had a baby. Ooh. And you know what? I wish that I could actually, if I dug hard enough, I could make a compilation of people bragging about children. Like just bragging, like when they're directly asked, "What are your accomplishments?" I have kids. It's like that dingbat with the baby has one, and she can't even afford to take care of it. That's not an accomplishment. That's an embarrassment. You know, when that happened, when that broad popped that kid out, I actually did have, I think, 2 or 3 different people ask me why I didn't mention either her being knocked up or having, like, when it was born, having a kid. And I said, I was embarrassed. That's not something I want to spread around. Like, who the hell wants to go, hey, this one person that uh, I used to have a high opinion of, yeah, now they're destroying someone's life before it begins. I just thought you should know. Some digger says, in mine, you almost anyone can find someone to have a child with. You have standards, but imagine if you didn't. You're not an ugly guy and you're smart too. You could make it happen. I've seen some truly disgusting couples. Well, Slum Digger, we did the top 10 worst mothers video of the 2010s, and you saw that every broad on that list, except for one, killed their kid. So, you know, a lot of them we knew were mentally ill. And the defenses of their lawyers showed that they had a couple of screws loose. I made a snake raise a rabbit. That's more of an accomplishment than anybody that had kids. I just think using kids to like as a bragging right is a really ridiculous thing. I don't care if that kid became president. That would be an accomplishment of the child, not you. Shaming culture trying to make us explain ourselves. They make me explain anything. Let me see. What did I read? Where is it? No, there's a whole bunch of DB stuff planned. I just what happens is I get a lot of scripts and I have to like focus on one and make sure it's done and then grab the pictures and all the little different stuff. So that's why it takes like I want to get to a point where I do maybe 2 or 3 of those a week because there's a whole bunch of stuff I have planned out, but I at the same time I'm not going to rush myself into shelling out a whole bunch of content. Mm. Dio, Slum Diggers asked Dio, but can you cure autism with the Bible? Hartman and his wife can. Yeah, they really like. They're so lucky I didn't go to. You know what? That's how you know this wasn't planned. Because if I had sat down and said tomorrow I'm going to talk about this man, because I only found out about it on I think it was yesterday, the day before that. I would have gone through that stream and picked out where they mentioned that and grabbed a screenshot of where they were talking about how their religion can cure autism. Oh, you don't, Dio. Instead of Fairly Odd Parents, we have some fairly famous scammers. We got some FFS. I forgot to mention last time I did like your drawings you did on that Baby Go On video, a small contribution. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And like I said, I'm trying to make it to where there's at least one DB video a week. They just take a little bit longer because I got a bunch of scripts I try to write out. LOL, imagining Timmy being like, hey, instead of wishing for a giant chocolate bar today, can you cure some illnesses? That actually would be a really good growth of his character because most of his wishes are selfish. Hey, Slum Digger, remember that that was like the thing with the Shadow Dragons where they were all vain and evil because the wishes were vain and selfish, except for like Nova, that's why they act that way. God, they're losing their minds on here. Like I never thought I'd see the day where a cartoonist would get away from the company that he was working with. I don't know what Dio's laughing at. He might be trying to make fun of me. He turned heel like in wrestling. He went from being a supporter to a troll. He morphed. But I never thought I'd see a day a cartoonist would go from being on a network to going on YouTube and trying to scam people out of, what was it, $99 for a stupid streaming service that he won't even tell us what the hell it is. And then 2 years later, the only thing that comes out of that service is a Kickstarter page. And the last update was last year. And then his way of I guess, skyrocketing back to fame is to then scam a guy out of money. And then while that's going on, while people are making videos about him scamming this guy out of money, he decides, hey, this is a great time for me and my wife to tell you how we can cure autism. Like, what the hell is wrong? This is like just a Shakespearean style fall from grace. Like, I've never seen someone do all of these ridiculous, goofy things and like go from having a, like, I'm telling you, 2 years ago, if you told anyone that he was going to do the stuff he's doing now, they would have called you crazy. Because the worst he ever did before the Oaxis thing was just making like stupid videos. Like, he made a video where he clickbaited people into thinking he was leaving YouTube, but that still wasn't anything anywhere near as awful as this other stuff. So, and now he's just been skyrocketing. Just, hey, worst case scenario, he can just say, God told him it wasn't right time to build the service. That's what I would do. If you're going to sell the God delusion, go all the way. Be like, at 2 o'clock in the morning, God struck lightning in my backyard, and I went outside, and he said, make a scam. I'll let you come to heaven with your fam. Oh my God, what a clown. I maybe he fears losing his wife. No, he's happily married according to him. And, you know, like, I would maybe believe that, Marky, because I remember with Chris Hansen when he cheated on his wife, she left him. But like, this guy's wife is right in there with him. She was in that stream talking all that stupid stuff right alongside him. These are the Hartman hustlers. That's, if I ever do another video on them, that's what it's going to be called. Chapter 2 of the Hartman hustlers. The Double H. To hell with Triple H. This is Double H. One of them's a wrestler. The other one pretends that they can cure you with religion, But spoiler alert, they're both fake. Oh my God. Hey, Envoy, I don't even want to see you because you didn't even say anything about the fighters video. And I worked very hard on that. And I'm so disappointed. And I'm about to take your mod chip away and I'm going to ban you and then you're going to disappear forever. Let me get my Infinity Gauntlet. And then Envoy vanished because he wouldn't leave. He wouldn't tell me if he liked the fighters video. I got my revenge on him. Slumdigger says, honey, you're not even making your little drawings anymore. I'm still wearing last year's Gucci. We need money, but it's like, well, I don't know what to do. I'm just a happily married Christian man. Oh, you need to scam people by telling them that we can heal them with religion. Oh, I mean, I guess that could work maybe. Because I noticed he only started doing the commissions after that Oaxis crap fell through. And you know what? That makes sense because they said he made the, what was the proper word for it? That he paid for it himself to reach the goal. So maybe the commissions are a way of him getting back that money he used to stuff his own Kickstarter with. Just saying. I really enjoyed the fighters video. It was a nice breakdown of the game and the characters in it. Oh, thanks. You finally said something. Hey, you like the part where I said I'm not married to BT3 and you're not married to Fighter? God forbid I end up liking both of them. I told you they turned BT3 into the disc version of a punching bag. Every time a new game comes out with some old trash roster, you think we should be able to play as more than 10 people? You like that game where the characters play this? I can cure autism with a crossface. What? In the wrestling ring. I heard from players that fighters play similar to the Street Fighter series. I felt that was kind of similar, yeah. But again, the point I was making with the video was that they took the same arguments in favor of Xuniverse and its smaller roster, and they tried to like use it again for a different game with a roster that I just like. It is factually half the size of Xuniverse's roster. I told you we're gonna get to a day where they're like, here's this new Dragon Ball game. You can play as 7 people. You're complaining about the roster. Those other games spoiled you. You know why? Because all the characters play the same. Quite a lot of controversy when it comes to fighters. Hey, Megumi, remember like they were like BT3 has all those different versions of Goku and Vegeta, and then you look at fighters roster and you've got base Goku, Super Saiyan Goku, Blue Goku, Ultra Instinct Goku, Kid Goku from GT, Blue Vegeta, Super Saiyan Vegeta, Base Vegeta. The only game that didn't do that really was Xuniverse. So many clones. Yeah, and then they wonder why people don't think that game's roster is good. But you know, you're just hating. Don't get me started in the Naruto Ninja Storm series. They suck too. I'm not as well versed with Naruto games, admittedly. So that's one of the reasons. But that the Goku obsession can be very off-putting. Yeah, and it's even more kind of frustrating because they didn't have to do that. Like they could have just made the different Super Saiyan forms transformations, like in the Budokai games, where you could turn into a form while you were playing the level. You start from base and then you just I don't know why they couldn't do that. And well, I know why they did it, because they want to milk you out of your money by making each form its own character. Now, what's that one game? The one that was on Sega Saturn? I'm forgetting its title. That game was so good. If I do ever make video game content again, I'm able to get like a ROM or something of that, I'll definitely go and put that on there. I thought they would do way more with the games. I do like how they do include damn near every character. That's cool. Oh, Dio, I was gonna do a video on that, on why he's a bad, because I noticed there's a lot of people who are trying to defend him now, and it's getting kind of weird. Yeah, Envoy, the Naruto games don't have the crappy rosters of some of the Dragon Ball games. It's like fighters. Oh, we're an adaptation of all of Z. Uh, but for some reason, we're not going to have Krillin playable, even though he was a major character for the most part in that show. But we're going to have Vegito, who ain't even in more than, what was it, 5 episodes of Z, a playable. Yeah, that makes sense. We'll have the person that's only in 5 episodes playable, but not the one who. Marky. When people are able to go online, or hell, when people have older relatives, that means they have access to things that were made before they were born. Jesus Christ. The originator of the goofy comments has continued. Slumdigger says Goku is a remarkably terrible father. LO, he's basically deadbeat dad. Instead of leaving for cigarettes, he left for Raditz. Well, I mean, if it's too nerdy for you, you can leave. Nobody's forcing you to stay here. Always says, hey, if I made an anime / manga, I wouldn't be obsessed with my main character. Goku is a bit too much in your face. I do like him, though. Well, that's why I said that with a lot of the content that's come out for Super, usually it's at its best when he's not in it. Or when it's focusing on some other character. I bet you're into programming. What? Again, if this is too quote unquote nerdy for you, you can go watch somebody else. Apparently so. Oh, I did laugh at that thing he said yesterday where he was like something to the effect of only you strike me as too, what was it, too intelligent to get with chicks or some kind of thing, where it was like you're because you have the interest that you do, broads apparently aren't interested. And I'm like, dude, how do politicians have wives? How do history teachers have wives? Like I just don't understand where all of them suddenly are opposed to getting with someone because of this specific interest. Interesting and boring. What Chi-Chi arc, Dio? What are you referring to? The lore is growing. I mean, I don't have it either, so I don't know what the. Always says nothing wrong playing games or watching TV shows or listening to music before your time. I mean, everybody does that. Well, there's, I guess, Envoy, there's like a set year. Like you can't, if you're, I don't know, 20, you can't listen to music from 30 years ago. That's not allowed. So that means if like in what 20 or 30 years you can't play fighters anymore. It's too old to be allowed to be played in the current year. Oh, I like her too, Megumi. It's really it sucks that they took what was the strongest female fighter in the entire show and basically reduced her to being a housewife for most of the series. And I know Dio, a lot of people, but a lot of people who have only seen Z don't know about that. Let me see. Envoy says, imagine if anime was primarily an American thing. So many people who don't watch it will complain about how the women in anime aren't represented enough, shaking my head. Well, I mean, that kind of, I'm not going to speak for all of the different shows, but that kind of is the thing with DB, where the only chicks that really get to do things and not be kind of like thrown to the wayside to get in a relationship with one of the male characters or Bulma and Future Mai. Like everybody else is just there to have like a pretty decent first appearance and then just fall off after that. Man, I'm amazed. We went from discussing the scammer to all kind of that's the thing about streams. They go on long enough, they go on all kind of different topics. But anyways, I'm gonna get off of here because I am tired. So thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. And have a good day. And I'll put up some stuff obviously between today and Saturday, and I'll stream again on Saturday.